We are up to chapter 5, verse 24. And the verse states, Karavata, Ushamat Ko Asher Yomar Hashem Elokeinu. You should come close and hear everything that God spoke to us. Va'at tidaber eleinu, and you shall speak to us. Ko Asher Yidaber Hashem Elokeinu elecha v'shemanu v'asinu. And you shall speak to us everything that God Hashem spoke to us. You shall do, and we shall hear it, and we shall do. Rashi says, Moshe says, you weakened my strength till I was like a woman. I grieved over you. You loosened my hand. I saw you were not trembling. But I have to come close to God from love. And wouldn't it have been better for you to learn from God than from me? Okay, verse 25. And God heard your voice speaking to me. According to these verses, it means that they heard the whole 10 commandments, not just the first two. Because they're saying we can't listen anymore. And now God said to me, I heard the voice of the people that spoke to you. I'll do. They did well that which they spoke. Me who can assure that this will be their heart to fear me and guard my commandments all these days, so it'll be good for them and for their children forever. Go tell them to go back to your tents. Stand with me. I'll speak to you at Kol Mitzvah V'Chukim Mishpatim Asher To'amdeim. I'm going to teach them everything, all the laws that you shall teach them. You should do it in the land that I give to you as an inheritance. And you shall be careful to act just like Hashem commanded you. Don't depart to the right or to the left. Verse 30. And the whole journey that Hashem will command you, you shall go. So you shall live and do good for you, and you shall have a long life. Meaning to say, right after the 10 commandments, the people come to Moshe and they say, we can't hear it straight. You tell us. So Moshe is saying, okay, I'm going to tell you what God is going to say to me now. He didn't say what God is going to say yet. He says, I'm going to tell you what God is going to say. And this is what he's about to teach. And he keeps going. It's still one paragraph. This is the mitzvah that God commanded to teach you. Moshe is still talking about it. He's saying, this is the mitzvah that Hashem told me to teach you. What's going to be the mitzvah? This is the mitzvah that I'm supposed to teach you so you fear God. To guard all his laws, his commandments. This is the mitzvah that Hashem told me to tell you, so that you have a long life and it'll be good for you all the days. And you have to listen, Israel. You should be careful to do that which is good for you, and that which will increase a great deal for you. If you have to listen to this and do it, so it'll be good for you. He's basically said this 5 straight verses. Show me the difference. You do it, you'll be in the land of flowing with milk and honey. But he hasn't said, what is the mitzvah? After the people came to Moshe and they said, tell us the mitzvah. We can't hear it straight from God. Moshe says, this is the mitzvah. If you do it, it'll be good for you. This is the mitzvah, you'll have a long life. This is the mitzvah, you'll have the land flowing with milk and honey. What is the mitzvah? The next verse. What's the mitzvah? This is now what Hashem told them, right after they said we can't hear it directly. What is the mitzvah? What is it Hashem told them to do? What's the next mitzvah? This is it. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. You want to know why this has such prominence in our liturgy, in our faith, in our belief system? This was the commandment that God told Moshe, or these were the verses that God told Moshe after the 10 commandments. And the people said, we want to hear, but we can't hear it straight from you. And God agreed. And this is what it is.
It's interesting that this is the commandment that they felt they could not hear from God. And it starts off with the word Shema. Hear.
That is interesting. It's a nice nuance. I thought this was open already, but should I stop the recording? Because that's too embarrassing to have on the Zoom, on the YouTube, that the seltzer went crazy. Jeff, do you mind passing the tissues?
It was the passion of the moment. You're getting over the really important part of the Torah and the whole.
I don't know if they saw that on camera though. Did you see it on camera? The seltzer exploded. Did you see that, Rabbi Yosef? So now we go to the Rashi on this very, very powerful verse. Listen, Israel, Hashem our God, Hashem is one. Hashem, Shehu Elokeinu, Ata, V'lo Elokei Ha'umos, Hu Atid Liot Hashem Echad. So that's how we read this verse. Hear, O Israel, Hashem, who is now our God, in the future, Hashem Echad. Right now, he's our God, not the God of the nations. They don't recognize him. But in the future, he's destined to be one God, then all the nations will recognize him. Because it says Hashem, who right now is our God, in the future, Hashem will be one. So the verse is not saying that there is one God. The verse is saying that the whole world will recognize the one God. That's how Rashi reads it.
Yes, because that suggests that now God is not one.
No, God is one. God is always one, but that's not what the verse is telling us. The verse is telling us that the whole world will recognize him as one. That's what's missing. Of course, God is one. It's saying that the whole world right now does not recognize God as one. But the Hashem, listen, Israel, the Hashem who's our God, one day the whole world will also recognize him as one. As it states,
there's a custom to say it also at the end of Az Yashir and also at the end of Aleinu, to make that declaration again and again, to clarify that it's about the future.
We say it at the end of Aleinu and Az Yashir. Right.
That's what he's going to say right here.
He says, Mi ki az efocha amim safa brura. Then I shall change the nations to speak a clear language. On that day, everybody will say Hashem is one and his name is one. That's what Rashi says it means. Now, if you look at the Rashi, the Shema, the Ayin is big and the Dalet is big. That's the way it's written in the Torah. That's to tell us that you read it as aid, witness. We're bearing witness. And also that you don't read it as Shema. Perhaps there's one God. And you don't read it as Acher. There's another God. So you read it as a big Ayin and a big Dalet. Okay, verse 5. You have to love Hashem your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. Says Rashi, what does it mean you shall love? How can you command somebody to love? That's the classic question. Asay devarav me'ava, do his words from a place of love. Eino dome osa me'ava osa me'ira. It means that you do his commandments out of love for him rather than out of fear of him or of him, because you can't compare someone who acts out of love to someone who acts out of fear. Ha'osa eitzel rabo me'ira, one who serves his master out of fear. Hold on. One who serves his master out of fear. Kishumatriach alav manicho vo'efo. When the master overburdens him, he goes off on his own. What does it mean with all your heart? Seems to be bechol avavcha. What does it mean serve God with all your heart? Serve God with your heart, it could say. The Rashi says, Bishnei Yitzarecha, with both your drives. So some say this with both the Yetzer Atov and the Yetzer Hara. You have to serve God with the drive to do evil. The drive to sin has in it passion and a power that you could channel that to serving God. How exactly? That should be discussed, but it's meaning the temptation can also be your passion, which you inspire other people. Don't have a divided heart about God. Don't question God. Even if God takes your soul, give up your soul to serve God. The Netziv says, even if a person must feel love of Hashem, even if his life is being taken, at that moment he has to feel love. Rashi says, with all your money. How much money do you have to spend on a mitzvah? So if it's a positive commandment, you have to spend up to a fifth of your money. Is that your assets or your income? So presumably it's your assets. You spend up to 20%. But for a negative commandment, so as not to violate a negative commandment, you have to give up all your money. So if they say, violate the Shabbos or you're going to lose your job, you have to give up your job. Or you can maybe figure out a way not to violate Shabbos, but you have to give up all your money rather than violate a negative commandment with all your might. Then there are some people who value their money more than their body. That's why it says with all your might. It means with all your money. Because otherwise we're going to say, of course, if you have to give up your life, you'll for sure have to give up your money. No. There are some people, you say your money or your life, they say, yeah, I'll give you my life. Doesn't matter. You don't have a choice here. This is another answer. With each and every measure that God measures out to you, whether it's a good measure or a measure of punishment, so too David states, so Rav Yagonim Tzah. With each and every measure, meaning to say, whatever God gives you, you should love God. Both with being faced with adversity and experiencing salvation. Rashi says, these words which I command you today have to be on your heart. What does that mean? Rashi says, what is the love spoken about? These words have to be on your heart. When you keep these words on your heart, then you'll recognize God and you'll attach to his ways. Rashi says, they shouldn't be in your eyes like an old edict, which is not important, like a new one, which everybody runs to. Refers to an order of the king which comes in writing. And you shall teach your sons, you shall speak to them, when you dwell in your house, and when you walk on your road, when you lie down and when you get up. She says, "Vishinantam Lashon Chidutu." It's an expression of sharpness. Shayu mechudadim b'ficha. Words of Torah need to be sharp in your mouth. Shem yishalcha adam davar. If a person asks you a matter, you should know the Torah so well that if someone asks you a question, you shouldn't stumble over it. Say it to him immediately. These are your students. So vanecha doesn't mean your children, it means your students. Students are called children. As it states, banim atem Hashem Elokechem. These are your children. You are children to Hashem, your God. Your Omer, b'nei neviim asher beitel. L'chem b'chizkiel shalim et Torah kol Yisrael Torah m'banim. Chizkiel Torah of Israel and call them children. As it says, b'ni ata al tishalu. Shem she'talmidim kriyim banim. Just like the students are called children, kach harav karoi av. The rabbi is called the father. Like not just the priest is called a father, also rabbi. And it says, Avi Avi Rechav Yisrael. V'dibar tamam, you shall speak these words of Torah. Shelo yad ikar dibucha elabam. Your main words have to be Torah. I say ikar v'al tasei tafach. Make them the main essence and not secondary. Ubishach b'cha. When you lie down, yachal afilu shachav b'chatzi hayom. I might think even if you lie down in the middle of the day, verse says, "Uvkumecha," when you rise up, Yachol. When you sit in your home, when you walk on your way, derech eretz dibur Torah's man shchivas man kimi. You have to say at the time that most people sit down, lie down, and most people stand up. That's the time. And now we say the last verse that we'll do today.
Rabbi,
Maybe two more. Yeah. Oh, yeah, a question, Rabbi Yosef. Yeah.
just you remember you said about Nechama Leibovich that she was upset that she didn't have children, but according to this Rashi about Levanecha, she did. She had thousands.
I guarantee you she knew this Rashi. I guarantee you she knew this Rashi. She knew every Rashi. She might have had a response to Rashi. She might have had a response. You should tie them on your hand. These are the tefillin of the arm. Be totafot between your eyes. These are the tefillin of your head. They're called totafot because of the number of passages in them. Totafot is tat bekatfei shtayim. Tat in the Caspi language is 2, and pat ba'afriki is shtayim. And pat in Africa is 2. It's strange, but the word for totafot comes from Afrikaans. So now, yes, Jerry.
A man who was well versed with the Torah said totafot really means, he said, tattoo. But
that's interesting. I never heard that.
It doesn't make sense because once you insert a tattoo between on your forehead, it runs against the pasuk that says you do this daily.
That and other reasons. But it's a very, well, I never heard of that. Very nice. Very nice. All right, we'll have to stop here. We'll stop here.